Hello everyone, I am Payal Chakranarayan, third year BDS student from Saraswati Dhanvantari Dental College and Hospital, Parbhani. As you all know, the prevalence of diabetes mellitus has risen over the past decades all over the world and even in India, which can be controlled if measures are taken in time. So I am here to enlighten you a little more about diabetes mellitus. So basically, what is diabetes mellitus? It is a metabolic disorder characterized by hyperglycemia due to absolute or relative deficiency of insulin, which is secreted by beta cells of pancreas. This diabetes is classified into various types, among which two broad categories are type 1 and type 2 diabetes mellitus. Others include diabetes due to drugs, genetic defects, diseases of pancreas, and gestational diabetes mellitus. In all these types, type 2 is more common. Now about type 1. In about 90% of cases of type 1 diabetes mellitus are immune mediated, occurring most commonly in children and young adults. In this disorder, the pancreatic beta cells fail to respond to insulinogenic stimuli, because of which there is no virtually circulating insulin. Therefore, exogenous insulin is required to control hyperglycemia and prevent ketoacidosis. As it is a T cell mediated autoimmune disease, it may be associated with thyroid disease, Addison's disease, and pernicious anemia. The classic symptoms of type 1 diabetes mellitus are polyuria, polydipsia that is thirst, nocturnia, and rapid weight loss. The weight loss is caused despite of good appetite due to the depletion of glycogen and triglycerides. Now moving towards the more common form of diabetes mellitus, that is type 2. Type 2 diabetes mellitus is a disease of middle-aged and elderly. It is polygenic and multifactorial in origin, involving genetic and environmental factors. The three basic pathophysiological abnormalities seen in type 2 diabetes mellitus are: first, impaired insulin secretion, which is caused due to impairment in beta cell function. Second, insulin resistance. Most of the patients are obese and insulin resistant. Insulin resistance is mainly the inability of insulin to act on the target tissues like liver and muscles. It increases with age, sedentary lifestyle, and abdominal visceral obesity. Hyperglycemia worsens insulin resistance and glucose toxicity, which is improved when glucose is normalized on treatment. And the third one is increased hepatic glucose production, that is the output of glucose from liver, which contributes to fasting hyperglycemia. The genetic factors are important in development of type 2 diabetes mellitus. The individuals with family history are at increased risk of developing diabetes. If both parents have diabetes, risk is 40%. The concordance rate of twins is 100%. The general symptoms of diabetes are tiredness, fatigue, and irritability, blurring of vision, frequent infection including the bacterial and fungal infection of skin and genitalia, and the slow healing of wounds due to microangiopathy, atherosclerosis, phagocytic activity, and proliferation of bacteria due to high blood sugar levels. In particular, patients with type 2 diabetes may be asymptomatic and are diagnosed during routine laboratory tests. Patients with diabetes 2 are usually obese. Females who have unexplained fetal loss and deliver large babies should screen for diabetes mellitus. Chronic skin infections, generalized pruritus, and fungal vaginitis are common in diabetes mellitus. Now, the investigations performed to test diabetes. First is the urine test. The presence of albumin more than 30 mg per dl suggests nephropathy. Second, blood tests. The random blood sugar test and the oral glucose tolerance tests are performed. The other tests include glycated hemoglobin measurement, serum fructosamine measurement, self-monitoring of blood glucose, with the help of which the glucometers can test the blood levels at home by the patients themselves. And the last, continuous blood glucose monitoring system. The complications of diabetes mellitus, which are divided into two: first, acute, and second, chronic complications, in which the diabetic ketoacidosis is a serious complication in type 1 diabetes mellitus, and the miscellaneous complications under the chronic complications is diabetic foot, which is seen more often. Now lastly, the management of diabetes mellitus, which includes first, the diet modification. It is done in such a way that it helps the maintenance of ideal body weight and provides essential nutrients. Exercise. It is very helpful and provides multiple benefits such as improves insulin sensitivity and lowers plasma glucose, reduces BP and lowers cardiovascular risk. Third is the education. Patient should be educated about the diet, exercise and self-monitoring of blood glucose. The patients are trained in foot and skin care and about the insulin injections. Now the medications, which include the pharmacological management, which is again divided into glucose lowering agents and insulin. This insulin is produced through recombinant DNA technology. The complications of insulin therapy include hypoglycemia, insulin allergy and insulin resistance, etc. And amongst the glucose lowering agents, which mainly includes the metformin, which is the first line therapy and helps in reducing the hepatic glucose production, which is given in 2 to 3 divided doses of 500 to 2000 mg daily. Now here are the ideal goals of glycemic control. Average preprandial glucose values 90 to 130 mg per dl. Second, the bedtime glucose values 100 to 140 mg per dl. Peak postprandial glucose, which is less than 180 mg per dl. And the level of HbA1c less than 7%. And that's all. I hope I added a beneficial piece of information to your collection. Thank you and happy watching.